Hi, welcome to DF Music Quick Tips. I'm Richard Galime, your specialist for everything Denis Wick, John Packer, and Smith Watkins. Today we're going to be talking about the Denis Wick mouthpiece line and what all these different shapes are that they have. So let's get right into it. I'm going to use trombone as an example just because that covers most of the shapes that Denis Wick has. And I'm just going to start here with the classic trombone Denis Wick mouthpiece. This is his classic shape. It's a little bit different than some of the traditional mouthpieces. He's got a little concave curve here, but basically this is just a classic standard mouthpiece. Gonna find it on anything. And then Denis Wick came out with the heavy top mouthpiece, which you can see a lot more weight on this mouthpiece, much thicker profile, way heavier. Then they discovered a new technique here, and this is called the heritage. And although it looks similar to the heavy top, where it might be really a lot of mass here, a lot of heft, it's actually really thin walls here, and they really thinned out the rim here. Not the lip of the rim where your mouth would be, but just this back edge. And it really adds a lot of lightness to the front half of this mouthpiece, where the center has all of its mass. And then after that, not something on trombone, but with euphonium and baritone, they came out with their Ultra series, and you'll see this on the tuba stuff, which is really the Tyndall series, but it's the similar profile. And the Stephen Mead Ultra series or Ultra X, there's a lot of Stephen Mead stuff, which we'll be going over in another video. So what do all these different masses mean? Every time you change the mass on the mouthpiece and where it is, it's actually going to change the way it responds. Not only in how it responds to the listener, how it's going to sound, but also for the feedback for the player. When you look at a traditional mouthpiece or even the heavy top, you see there's a lot of mass in those mouthpieces, especially where you're contacting the mouthpiece. So right off the bat, you're going to have to use a lot more of your energy to get that mouthpiece to buzz or ring out. I could use a bunch of different terms, but basically your vibrations need to vibrate all of that mass before it starts to reverberate into the horn. And a lot of people like that steadiness, gives you a little bit more feeling of a solid attack. You can push it a little bit more. And then you move on to the heritage style, which is so much thinner here. And for that, you get a much lighter response. You barely even need to speak your buzz before the mouthpiece starts to resonate. And what's beautiful about that is articulation response, soft dynamics. But if the mouthpiece were too thin all the way through, you'd have a really light sound. That's where they added that mass in the center. So there's still about as much weight as your classic mouthpiece, but it's just shifted. And that shifting of the mass really helps some resonance. A lot of classical players gravitate towards this style mouthpiece because there's a little bit of a more clarity to the tone. But then again, you can't really push these mouthpieces as hard, so you can't get them as punchy. If you really want punch, that's when you go to the heavy top. But it's going to take a lot more, again, energy to get that sound going. And then we've got this nice Ultra design that it's more of a traditional profile, and it's got a very even mass distribution throughout the mouthpiece, and it just works really well with euphonium and baritone, where you want that really nice, even, warm sound. And that's the basics behind the four shapes of those mouthpieces. And you can pretty much find the classic heavy top heritage in all of the different mouthpieces. The only one that's different is French horn. They call it, it's the Paxman, but it's really that heritage profile. It's the same thing. You can find that heritage in cornet. You can find it coming soon in trumpet. You've got it on tuba, trombone. So all of this stuff, Denis Wick has really applied to all of their mouthpieces. And it helps a lot in choosing what you want while maintaining the same exact sizing. Because throughout these, if you're playing on, say, like a 5BL, you can get a 5BL in heritage, you can get it in heavy top, you can get it in classic. It's really the same inner dimensions and everything. It's just that outer shape that has changed. And it really helps a lot of players fine tune into the sound they want. One other thing I want to discuss with the differences in mouthpieces, just because I get this question a lot, is the difference between gold and silver. I mean, obviously it's the look. You've got gold mouthpieces versus silver. A lot of people think that gold is going to warm up the sound a whole lot and play a lot different. I mean, the truth of the matter is these mouthpieces are all brass. I mean, it's not solid gold, otherwise the mouthpiece would be astronomically expensive. So what we're really talking about is just the difference in plating. And actually how gold plating works is you have to silver plate it, then gold plate it. So in terms of sound characteristics, not a ton. What you do get though is a difference in how it feels on your face. Gold is a softer metal, so it grips a little bit different on your embouchure, and therefore sometimes players will approach the mouthpiece different, and that changes their sound. So again, it has to do with that player feedback of how the mouthpiece makes you play versus what the mouthpiece is actually doing. And that's kind of Mouthpieces in a nutshell. For any more questions that you might have, you can always get in touch with me directly. I love doing mouthpiece consultations and talking mouthpiece shop on the phone, and we'd love to help you out and try and get you with the right size. Thanks for listening.